What's going on, my curious and intellectual people? Welcome back to another intellectual conversation with intriguing insights, with deep conversations meet everyday life, looking beyond the obvious to uncovering meaning, challenge assumption, and find wisdom in places most people overlook. As we move forward with formation and identity, building ourselves up for a sustainable life to thrive, let's talk about you told yourself just this once. How do we manage to give ourselves permission to do the things that we do not want to do and that we know that is wrong, period? Well, that's exactly what that phrase means. We keep telling ourselves over and over and over again, just this one time. Integrity rarely collapses, it erodes. Now, I'm not saying that it can't tumble in just a moment, but I am saying that it's very rare that this happens. Our integrity deteriorates in increments. It starts off with just one yes, but turns into a habitual action where we continuously to say yes to the same thing that we really want to avoid. It's a quiet whisper that convinces us to bend our own rules, to indulge into something we promised ourselves that we wouldn't. You know what I mean. It's that just one more slice of cake, or scrolling instead of focusing, or I'm just gonna watch one more episode before I start completing my task. To us, it really seems harmless. Just this once, we say. But what is really happening? The subtle, slow, and small growth of one compromise is enhancing into a habit of continually doing the things that we say that we don't want to. There was a book that I read called The Compound Effect by Darwin Hardy, who talked about the compound entrance. Compound entrance was the main idea of his whole entire book, even though he utilized it in different formats and areas in life to show how habits has grown in our own lives and we have adjusted according to that. So, what is compound entrance? Compound entrance is entrance earned off the initial principal and entrance on everything added to the previous period. For example, if you deposit $1,000 with a 5% interest rate compounded annually, it becomes $1,050 after 1 year and $1,102.50 after year 2. The 5% interest rate compounded off of the previous $1,050. That is exactly what we call compound entrance, where you earn entrance off the initial principal, the $1,000, then everything that's added to it when it grew to $1,050, you get $1,102.50 after that second year, the 5% entrance, according to that. So in 2 years, off of $1,000, just letting it sit there, getting compound entrance, you gain $102.50. That's passive income. But here's the thing. Compound entrance can actually go two ways. It can go bad and it can go good. So this illustration that I'm bringing up shows a perfect example on what I mean about compound entrance in our lives, whether it's mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, spiritually, relational, even personal with your personal development, where we build off the initial principle that we living off of and it just grows and expands. Because when we're going through life, we have circumstances and experiences that's out of our control, which actually causes small compromises under pressure. Psychologists call this the slippery slope of self-justification. The single act, framed as an exception, can weaken our self-control muscle. You know the phrase, we reap what we sow, because the seed that we plant will eventually harvest a crop. Now, whether or not if this crop produces a good fruit or a bad fruit is determined on how we are nurturing it and doing the things that we need to do in the midst of the season of growing that will cause good compound entrance or bad compound entrance. Each, just this once, chips away our resolve, making it easier to say yes the next time. Some of these compromises occur under stress, such as tight deadlines, financial strain, or the desire to fit into a group, while some of us need the short-term fix, made for temporary comfort, avoid confrontation, and immediate achievements, the short-term goals. But the truth is, survival justifies what conscience resists. Nah, straight up, life be lifing for real. I used to handle situations way differently in the past, so I feel it hard today trying to be a civilized adult in this world. In extreme situations, the desperate need to stay alive, survival, causes us to perform actions that our moral sense, the conscience, finds unacceptable. But why do we fall for this? Well, because our brain craves immediate gratification. The dopamine hit from that first just this once indulgence feels good in a moment, overshadowing the long-term goals that we set. You know, that future self, the one who wants to be more healthier, more productive, financially responsible, gets pushed to the side. You know, that Heisman maneuver, when we get that feeling of dopamine from that immediate gratification. We do that just this once again. But we have to realize who we are becoming is more valuable than what we're trying to escape. The character, the wisdom, and the strength we build while navigating difficulties define our future. While merely escaping a situation, leaving a job, a relationship, a mistake, does not necessarily guarantee a better life if we bring the same mindset. Now, I'm not saying that the situation should remain the same, but rather learning not to compromise who you are over surviving. Allowing what appears to be a small and insignificant act turns us into a compromising junkie with a bad conscience. So let's build some positive and fruitful compound interest into our lives by putting growth over circumstances, a character that defines our future, to redefine our past, and developing a becoming mindset. So the next time you hear that phrase in your head, remember, it's not about just this once. It's about the story that you're telling yourself and the future that you're trying to shape. Remember, clarity doesn't come from easy answers, but from the courage to ask the hard one. So stay curious, stay open, and keep looking deeper. Peace.